You keep giving this dude chance after chance because you hope that he's going to change. And I know you believe that people can change, right? You believe in repair because you don't want to give up too soon because you're not ready yet. And that's how you explain it to yourself. And that explanation is exactly why you haven't seen what is actually happening. You think hope is something that you're choosing, right? You think it's coming from you. It's not. What's happening is that hope is getting reinstalled at very specific moments for a very specific reason. And once you see that, you cannot unsee it. I'm about to change the way that you look at hope, okay? Hope doesn't show up randomly in an abusive relationship, and it doesn't even live there all the time. It shows up right when something inside you starts to kind of settle, when you feel relief, right when you stop arguing with yourself, right when you think, I cannot keep doing this, right when you pull back emotionally or go quiet or stop engaging the way that you have been 10,000 other times. That's when it shows up. It might not be a big speech, but it shows up just enough to interrupt you. And that interruption is literally the entire point. That's all he needed, babe. You experience it as a shift. He sounds calmer. He speaks differently this time. He says something that almost sounds like accountability, or he gets quiet and wounded and he plays the victim. Suddenly he's reflective, or he seems remorseful, right? They play that really well. He's talking about the future again. It doesn't even have to be convincing. It just has to be enough, right? Enough to make you kind of hesitate or wait and see if he's really going to follow through this time, right? I'm going to give him 2 weeks and we'll see. But it's just enough to stop you from following through with what you already knew. You tell yourself that you're not staying, you're just waiting. You're just giving him one more chance. Or I'm not giving him another chance, I'm just waiting. You're just not deciding yet. You're being fair. You're being, thoughtful, right? You're not reacting. And that pain probably feels harmless to you, but I want you to know that it isn't. That pause is actually the exact moment that the cycle resets every single time. You keep asking yourself why you keep giving this man chance after chance, right? He's had 10,000? And you assume that the answer must be something about you too. You're too optimistic or forgiving, too attached, too afraid, too stupid. I know a lot of women that feel stupid because they don't know that this is not about intelligence at all. You say that you don't trust yourself. You call yourself weak, that you don't love yourself enough. I hate that one. That's the wrong line of questioning. The real question is why hope keeps showing up right when it does. Because that timing isn't an accident. Do you get that? Here's what you need to be paying attention to. Hope isn't just a feeling here. It's actually doing a job. It has a really important function. Its job is to keep you from fully landing in what you already know. And as long as you don't fully land there, the relationship is going to stay alive. That's the point. It doesn't have to be healthy or actually repaired, just alive enough to continue. Hope doesn't keep you emotionally invested necessarily, but it does keep you from closing the door. Subscribe. I'm Lisa Sonni. I work with women in abusive dynamics and trauma bonds every day. And truly, this is one of the most consistent patterns that I see. Not hope as a personality trait, hope as a reset button. And it gets pushed right when clarity is actually about to stick in your brain, right when you know too much. Hope is a huge part of trauma bonding. Now, I have a free quiz in the description that literally takes you 2 minutes, instant results, no strings attached. It's called Am I Trauma Bonded? And you'll know right away. Now, you haven't seen this because you were never taught to look at hope this way. I bet that you were taught that hope is a virtue. It means you're loyal, right? You're kind and emotionally mature, strong, patient. You were praised for being hopeful your entire life. That's my bet. So when it shows up, you trust it. You don't question it. Nobody suspects hope is doing something nefarious. You treat it like proof that you're doing the right thing. And hope is adaptive. It keeps people alive psychologically. It allows people to actually tolerate pain that truly has an endpoint outside their control. But we never get taught to separate that kind of hope from hope in relationships because culturally, we kind of treat hope as universally good. But that's the blind spot. Really, it's this. Is hope helping me act or is hope helping me avoid acting? Hope is harmful when it replaces your judgment. And that distinction is never taught. I've never heard anybody talk about it. But let me keep going. And I want to kind of shift because let's get a little bit deeper here. In an abusive dynamic, hope is not something that you generate. It's something that gets triggered. Pay attention to the timing. Hope doesn't show up when things are going great and they're very steady. It doesn't show up when you feel good and safe. It shows up after harm, abuse, after distance. You start pulling away. You say you want to break up. You say you can't do this anymore. Poof, hope, right? After the relationship feels like it's at risk. You think that's a coincidence? That's how the cycle keeps going without ever really having to even escalate. Hope makes abuse survivable enough to repeat. And that's the part that people don't like to hear, but it's true. If it were unbearable all the time, you'd leave. Hope keeps it just tolerable enough to stay. The harm happens, you start to see things, and then hope steps in and it makes everything confusing. It doesn't fix anything. It just keeps you from ending the relationship. You need hope, or maybe better put, he needs you to have hope. That's why he makes so many promises. Hope works. Now, we're going to layer in something called sunk cost. Not as a theory. You may have heard this expression before, but this is actually pressure for you. You've already put in time, right? Years, energy, emotional labor, pain. You've sacrificed things, and hope turns all of that into an obligation. If you leave now, what does that say about everything you've already been through? Hope keeps you from having to answer that question. It tells you that it would be like a waste of time to stop now. But I'm telling you that the only way that something is actually wasted is if you keep investing in the same losing outcome or the same loser. Why would staying longer make the past worth more, right? If stopping now feels like a waste, how much worse will it feel to realize you stayed 5 more years for the exact same result? Hope's not going to help you recover the losses. It convinces you to keep making them. Okay, now we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of cognitive dissonance, or what Dr. Peter Salerno calls traumatic cognitive dissonance in his book by the same name. Not confusion, strain. Holding "this hurts me" and "this could still work" at the same time, it's so damn exhausting. Hope gives you a break from that strain. It lets you keep both ideas without actually having to choose, right? You don't have to decide yet. You can just wait. Now, it's more like paralysis, but it feels like waiting. Now, let's layer in some fear. Not fear of leaving, maybe, possibly, right? But fear of what becomes true if hope dies. If this is abuse, then love didn't fix it. And if people don't change, then all that effort wasn't leading anywhere. That's heavy. I know. Hope keeps you from having to carry all of this. So no, you're not staying because you're naive. You're just staying because hope works. It takes the edge off, like just enough to keep you from making an actual decision, from taking action. It doesn't heal anything. It just delays the reckoning of this relationship. And this is the part that I really want you to hear without big words or therapy language. Every time you pause, instead of ending it, you teach yourself not to trust what you already know. You feel that moment where something kind of clicks inside you, where you're not confused anymore, where you know this is not okay. And then you kind of talk yourself out of it. You explain it away. You wait. You give it a bit more time. You need one more bad thing to happen. If he would just this, then you'll leave. But the next time it's the same thing, knowing that it's going to show up again, more hope, and it's easier to ignore. In so many ways, you're practicing doubting yourself. That doesn't stay contained to this relationship. And I watch these women start second guessing themselves outside of the relationship in everything. You hesitate more. You need more proof than you used to. You just don't trust your own judgment. You've learned that knowing something doesn't mean that you're allowed to act on it, and you are. But that's the cost that you're already paying right now, not later. Every time you give him, this abusive mid-loser, another chance, you're not just choosing him. You're actually choosing the fantasy over yourself, right? This is brutal. You tell yourself that you're being fair and open, right? You're just not ready yet. But every time you give up just a little bit more trust in your own judgment, you delay imagining a life that does not revolve around managing him. You organize all of your energy around his moods instead of your own life, your own direction. That's not patience. This time always feels a little bit different for a reason, because when you start pulling away internally, I know his behavior changes, right? Shifts just enough. Again, that's what resets the hope. The timing creates this sort of intensity, and then intensity gets mistaken for change. Don't ever forget how much hope is actually driving you to see this change that really isn't authentically happening at all. Your standards drop. They drop so fast because the relief feels urgent, like it's, oh, so good, the relief. The contrast feels big, and you tell yourself, oh, he gets it now. He had an epiphany. You don't know what you got till it's gone. I just needed to threaten to leave. Now he really gets it. The relationship moves, sort of, but it doesn't actually move forward. If you keep telling yourself you need just one more sign, do you notice how that sign never actually settles anything? It's not like it's bad luck. It's actually literally how the loop works. It's on purpose. He knows this. He knows. There's a part of this that belongs to you, and avoiding it keeps you stuck. Your nervous system prefers another chance, right? It delays the grief. We're not doing this on purpose. This is unconscious. Knowing the truth hurts more than hoping, and your body's always going to choose familiar pain over unfamiliar loss. And again, unconscious. This is not about blame. I want people to look at themselves with curiosity, not with judgment. This response doesn't just come from nowhere. You learn to tolerate instability because stability was not guaranteed. And hope gives you this sort of illusion of control. It lets you believe that your effort actually matters. And over time, that belief is going to cost you your confidence, your energy, and your ability to even feel sure in all the areas of your life. Think about the moment where you almost end it and then you don't, or you do and then you go back, right? The doubt that comes in, that sort of internal surge and the panic, that urge to fix it before it's actually final. The reaction's not about him. It's about what ending would mean. Ending means accepting that the story that you believed is made up. It's not real. Ending means grieving the future that you were organizing your whole life around. It's huge. That grief feels so much heavier than staying, so it makes sense that we just kind of unconsciously avoid it. And if you recognize that moment, I want you to say so in the comments because naming it can take away a hell of a lot of its power. But every cycle, it just takes something from you. You spend more mental energy monitoring him and less paying attention to yourself. You lower your expectations so disappointment hurts less. But the bar is already in hell, as they say, right? You stop bringing things up because it feels pointless or it feels like a huge risk. Your whole world just shrinks. It's so sad. The relationship takes up space in your head even when nothing's happening. You're rehearsing conversations and, pretending that you know what his reaction would be, or maybe you do know. You prepare explanations. And all of this happens really slowly. And that's why so much of this is easy to miss. Adapting becomes the price of staying. But here's the reframe that I really want you to hear. I love a good reframe. You're not undecided. You're delaying the moment that you accept that there's nothing left to wait for. That's the hinge. The problem was never how many chances he's had, because it's at least 10,000, I'm sure. The problem is what staying keeps costing you every single time you just go, let me give him one more chance. Let me see if he does it one more time. The hardest truth is that staying keeps you frozen. You don't move forward. You don't even move back. You literally are stuck. You're negotiating with hope. But in the meantime, your life is just on hold. And accepting Accepting reality hurts. It means that you're grieving what you thought this would actually become, giving up the fantasy, the potential, the future. It's a horrible loop. But giving up the hope, it's also going to end the loop. Hit subscribe. Support helps because it shortens this process. Working with me privately in group programs or inside She Rises Collective, my online community that helps you see the mechanism clearly and you sit with the grief without getting pulled back into all of his garbage justification. When hope stops being automatically reinstalled, what you already know finally has space to sink in. And once that happens, things change fast. Not because you forced yourself to stop hoping, but because you finally saw what hope was doing. So drop a comment. Tell me what you've believed about hope, how it hurt you. Subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.